Welcome back, viewers, to the latest researches and news. Today we have three major developments from the front lines and from the political arena. First of all, about the Tigray People Liberation Front, the political administration has released a detailed statement on the Shirena front fighting. Tigray Defense Force claims it repelled a large-scale Ethiopian National Defense Force assault, inflicted heavy casualties, and held its positions. There is also an explosive allegation about who was fighting alongside the Ethiopian National Defense Force. Secondly, about video of captured Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers at the Amhara-Tigray border. Large numbers of Ethiopian military fighters reportedly surrendered during recent clashes. We share what we know and what we are still verifying. Lastly, about the video we have received of Eritrean officials and military commanders entering Tigray that we will share with you. What the visit confirms about the Tigray-Eritrea alliance. The Tigray People Liberation Front political administration the Tigray government installed after the reinstatement of Tigray's regional parliament has released a formal statement on the fighting that erupted near the Shirerina area on the Ethiopia-Sudan border front. This statement represents the official Tigray position on how the recent engagement unfolded. We present it as the claimed version of events. It has not been independently verified. The Ethiopian federal government has not issued an official military response to the specific details raised in this statement. According to the Tigray People Liberation Front administration, the confrontation began when Ethiopian National Defense Force units launched a large-scale offensive in the area, a significant operation involving substantial numbers of troops. The statement says Tigray Defense Force Tigray's military fully repelled that offensive. Tigray Defense Force held its positions. Ethiopian National Defense Force was pushed back. The claim about casualties is strong. The statement alleges that Ethiopian National Defense Force suffered substantial losses during the fighting, and that hospitals in areas near the front received large numbers of wounded soldiers. These are serious claims, and they remain unconfirmed by any independent source at this stage. But the most explosive allegation in the statement, the one that analysts are watching most carefully, is this. Rapid Support Force fighters from Sudan reportedly participated in the Ethiopian National Defense Force operation alongside Ethiopian military forces. Let us explain why this claim carries so much weight if true. The Rapid Support Force, the Rapid Support Forces, is the Sudanese paramilitary group that has been fighting Sudan's official Sudanese armed forces in a devastating civil war since April 2023. We have reported in previous updates that Ethiopia has been accused of allowing Rapid Support forces to use Ethiopian territory for operations in Sudan's Blue Nile region, and that there are documented reports of weapons and logistics support flowing to the Rapid Support Force through Ethiopian channels. If Rapid Support Force fighters were indeed deployed alongside Ethiopian National Defense Force units in the Shirerina operation, this would mean the Ethiopian military is not just tactically aligned with the Rapid Support Force in Sudan, but actively fighting alongside Rapid Support Force personnel on Ethiopian soil against Tigray Defense Force. That would be an extraordinary escalation. It would mean a Sudanese armed group that is at war with Sudan's official military is now a combat partner of the Ethiopian National Defense Force on the Tigray front. We must be clear, this claim has not been confirmed. It has not been verified by independent sources. Neither Addis Ababa nor Sudanese officials have acknowledged it. but the Tigray People Liberation Front administration has put it on the record in a formal statement that has been circulated to diplomatic missions. Why circulated to diplomatic missions? Because the Tigray People Liberation Front is attempting to internationalize the narrative. It is telling foreign governments what is happening here is not just an internal Ethiopian military operation. It has regional dimensions. It involves foreign armed actors. And the international community should be paying attention. The Tigray People Liberation Front concluded its statement by saying the Tigray Defense Force will continue defending the Tigray region and protecting the interests of its people. That language, defending, protecting, is framing the conflict as a response to aggression, not an initiation of it. What you are watching on your screen is video received from Tigray sources showing captured Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers at the Amhara-Tigray border. You can clearly see the men in Ethiopian military uniforms. The number of those shown in the footage is significant. This is not a handful of soldiers. Reports reaching us from sources within Tigray indicate that during the recent fighting near the Amhara-Tigray border, a large number of Ethiopian National Defense Force fighters laid down their weapons and surrendered. We need to be transparent with you about what we know and what we do not know about this footage. What we can confirm, the video shows individuals wearing Ethiopian National Defense Force uniforms who appear to be in custody. The number of those shown is large enough to be operationally significant if the footage reflects a real surrender event. What we are still working to verify, whether this footage was recorded during the current phase of fighting, specifically the recent Shirerina and Amhara-Tigray border confrontations, or whether it dates from an earlier engagement. We are actively investigating this. As soon as we have more reliable information about the timing and context of this footage, we will share it with you in our next update. We are not presenting this as definitive proof of a specific surrender event at a specific time. We are sharing it with the transparency that our viewers deserve, telling you what we have received, what it appears to show, and what remains unverified. What is not in question is the broader pattern this footage reflects. We have reported repeatedly on Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers defecting and surrendering to Fano forces in Amhara. We have reported on police recruits walking away from training camps before completing basic training. We have reported on the crisis of morale and will inside the Ethiopian military. Whether this particular video is from the most recent fighting or from an earlier period, it fits into a documented, ongoing pattern of Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers choosing surrender over continued combat. Now back to the video we showed you at the opening of tonight's report. The footage we have received shows Eritrean officials, including military commanders, crossing into eastern Tigray and being formally received by the Tigray administration. The video is clear. The visit is not in dispute. We reported previously about this visit based on images and early reports. Now we have video confirmation. And seeing it changes the weight of what this event represents. Let us explain the full significance. Eritrea and the Tigray People Liberation Front political leadership were enemies not long ago. During the 2020 war, Eritrean military forces fought alongside the Ethiopian National Defense Force against the Tigray Defense Force from the Northern Front. Eritrean troops entered Tigray from the Eritrean border and participated in some of the most devastating attacks on Tigrayan civilians during that conflict. The transformation in that relationship from military adversaries fighting the same war on opposing sides to the point where Eritrean officials and military commanders are welcomed into Tigray and filmed doing so is one of the most significant political shifts in this entire conflict. What is the same framework that this visit reflects? It is the political and strategic alignment that developed between Tigray People Liberation Front's leadership and the Eritrean government after 2024, when both identified the Abiy Ahmed government as a shared challenge. Eritrea felt betrayed by Abiy's shifting commitments and his government's moves that undermined the terms of their 2018 rapprochement. Tigray People Liberation Front's Debretsion faction saw Eritrea as a necessary partner for any viable resistance to federal pressure. The result, the Semdo alignment. And the visit on your screen is what that alignment looks like in practice. Eritrean officials from the Senafe and Zalambesa border zones, both on the Eritrea-Tigray frontier, entered Ethiopian territory. They attended a community gathering. They were received by Tigray administrators. Eritrean security personnel were present and visible. The Ethiopian federal government has consistently argued that such visits violate Ethiopian sovereignty, that foreign officials cannot enter Ethiopian territory to meet with a regional administration without clearance from Addis Ababa. The Tigray administration's response is straightforward. We maintain the relationships we need to maintain with the partners we have chosen. The video makes the relationship undeniable. Eritrea is present in Tigray, not covertly, not through back channels, in daylight, on camera, at a community gathering. For Ethiopian National Defense Force, planners this visit confirms what they already knew, but may have hoped was less visible. The Tigray front is not an isolated internal Ethiopian matter. Eritrea is embedded in it. 3 stories tonight, each revealing a different layer of this conflict. On the Shirerina front, Tigray Defense Force says it repelled a large Ethiopian National Defense Force offensive, inflicted heavy casualties, and held its positions. The most explosive climb, Rapid Support Force fighters, allegedly participated alongside the Ethiopian National Defense Force. No independent confirmation yet. But the climb has been formally delivered to diplomatic missions. At the Amhara-Tigray border footage of captured Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers in large numbers. We are verifying the timing of the footage. The pattern it reflects of Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers surrendering rather than fighting is documented and real, regardless of when this specific footage was recorded. And from Tigray video confirmation of Eritrean officials and military commanders entering the region and being formally received by the Tigray People Liberation Front administration, the Semdo alliance is visible on camera in Tigray. Addis Ababa has a military decision to make about the Shirerina front. It has a diplomatic crisis with Eritrea to manage over the border visit, and it has footage of its soldiers in enemy custody that it has not addressed. The coming days will be decisive. We will keep reporting every development as verified information reaches us. Like, share, and subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update.